Hello, good Thursday afternoon to you. Sorry I'm running a little bit late in getting this video posted to you. Hope that you all are doing well, surviving our biblical-like rains that we're having today. It's been quite a challenge, I know, for all of us. So greetings. I know that a lot of you in our class are not in Michigan or even Detroit proper. So I think that so I'll say greetings to Florida, Illinois, and I believe Ohio. So hope that you all are doing well. So I had told you in a previous announcement that I would be kind of giving some general comments about the genre analysis, and I was commenting on the last video as well that by and large your comments to your fellow peers were excellent, and so I want to cover just a few quick things for you for your revisions as I'm coming due, so kind of go through this process. So I'm going to minimize down here, and let's go into Project 2. This is where we will obviously, because we're in that weird transition where we're in week 5, so technically we're kind of beginning to think about the literature review, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but we're finishing up the genre analysis. And so in the Project 2 genre analysis folder here in our weekly task and assignments, we have down here at the bottom the Project 2 final draft and reflective memo assignment Dropbox, if you will. So let's just look at this down here. Submit your final draft of Project 2 by this Sunday night, and then then you want to have a reflective memo, much like we did before. We have like a project memo, and I was calling it a reflective memo. And so there are 4 things I want you to kind of think about when you write this. To describe how you selected text to analyze for the project. Obviously, 1, I gave you a set of text from the readings, and so then you selected from one of those. What perhaps made these compelling choices for you? How did you find the text from your discourse community, more specifically? Perhaps participate maybe through a journal, or a combination of actually a journal, maybe your contemporary research section from your research guide. Some kind of combination like that is what would be kind of expected to maybe see something like that. Describe how you made these choices and how to revise and edit based on peer and instructor feedback. Obviously, instructor feedback is forthcoming. Describe how any challenges you had while completing the assignment, and describe what you feel best about regarding this assignment. And again, just like we did in Project 1, after you're done with your genre analysis, you would have your works cited or your bibliography page, depending on what style you're using. And then once that, whenever the next page is, just add your reflective memo, if you would, to that. And the reflective memo just needs to be around 200 to 300 words. Okay. All right. So that's what have that done by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. And recall, see, the first assignment was worth 100 points. This is 150. You can consult the syllabus to see further breakdown. So basically 15% of your grade. All right. So let's go back to. I'm going to go back to weekly tasks and assignments. And then I'm going to go ahead, since we're now in week 5, I'm going to kind of head us over into week 5 and scroll down for a second. And before I go into the week 5 activities, which is where we're at now, I'm going to toggle up here to this is sample student analysis from the genre analysis. This is student number 1. And so I think you all did a really good job of identifying the differences of what was taking place between the writing studies, or i.e. the one that you read for our class. Most of you either chose, I think it was Harris and Wardle seemed to be the 2 most popular. And so I'm going to give you an idea of analysis. Always seems to be analysis and sometimes a reflection. It can always kind of seem to be a tough thing to kind of direct it back to the goals of your discourse community. So I'm going to read the first several sentences of this analysis. This is a really good analysis if you want to take a look at this. So this student here starts off and says, as we look through the lens of the conventions and styles used in each of the discourse communities, we gain further understanding of how they become successful. In the structural civil engineering article, the APA style format introduces what the article is going to convey right from the beginning with the use of an abstract. So already denoting, obviously you probably noticed that in writing studies we do not have the abstract, nor do we have the keywords he's about to speak of. Following the abstract is a list of keywords that is usually always clearly identified. These words may not be known to other discourse communities and suggest to a non-member that they could be difficult to interpret if unaware of the natural language spoken through the community, i.e. structural civil engineering. So it's alluding to the fact that sometimes these keywords may be keywords that are specifically for that discourse community. Also in APA format, in-text citations include the author's name and the year it was published. So now we're kind of doing something different in APA versus the MLA. This format clearly gives the audience an immediate idea of the time frame in which the research was conducted. Now we're starting to get into, he's going to just break away now from, we've got some description, now we're going to get into some analysis. This is very significant because in the structural engineering discourse community, standards and building codes are constantly being updated due to the forever changing infrastructure. Also, it supports the goal of safety in the community by keeping up the most current regulations. On the contrary, now we're doing that compare and kind of contrast thing within this level of the whys. So he's given a why as to why structural and civil engineering may perhaps be using APA form, and there's not a right or wrong answer here. This is strictly your analysis of how you're perceiving. Now notice he puts it back to the goals. So he's identified the goals in the structural civil engineering community. And now he's starting to make this difference while he's comparing and contrasting the differences and the reasons why. And that's where the analysis really comes in. I think he does a really good analysis here to talk about the reason, perhaps one of the reasons of using APA or the structural civil engineering community adapting or adopting the APA format would be so that they can always in their citations have the year. Then those years become significant because it then lets the reader know that where, how soon, how relevant, right? Are these sources from 1992, or are these sources from 2011, 2012, more recent sources, or more current sources, we might say. And so with that being the case, he's tied that back to a goal of the community, and that is upholding these safety standards, building codes more specifically, because they're constantly being updated. So I think that's a really strong analytical point. And then he goes on to say, on the contrary, Worrell's article is presented in MLA format, which doesn't include an abstract, rather an introduction. The introduction in our discourse communities are usually more significant. An introduction usually provides background information on the topic that suggests that the reader is possibly new to the information, needs to be informed of particular facts. Now we're doing some analysis. There again, it's not necessarily a right or a wrong, or whether you guys can provide like specific evidence and quote somebody and say, this is exactly what we do it. We're doing an analysis of genres. So you're noticing, here's what's happening in your genre analysis, your genre, your discourse community, how they write. Here's what's happening in this other genre, in this case, writing studies. And you're going to make some inferences as part of your analysis as to the whys of these differences. And I think this is a really good example here of someone who is taking these things, starting off with some comparing and contrasting, and then diving deeper into the whys of that. So I think that would be one thing when you're writing the analysis section especially is to keep on the top of your mind as you're writing that. So when you then get to the reflection section, you really want to talk about how these things are playing a major role and bringing forth what you've learned through that process. And so I want to point out here, let's see, while in the, starting right about here, I think you can see this on the screen. While in the article by Wardle, I learned that the method of storytelling can put the reader directly into the author's shoes to help its members incorporate real-life scenarios. Through analyzing the two different genres, one can infer that just reading the article in general is not enough to fully understand its significance. One must be fully engaged in all aspects of the discourse community to better find out, or to better find how values and goals are met. So part of this reflection, he's reflecting back and saying that in one genre, as he's identified already in the identification and analysis section, this thing is happening. In the Wardle thing, there's this storytelling element combined in, as he pointed out earlier about the introduction, and that these discourse communities now are bringing in these different things so that they can fully engage all aspects and then ultimately fulfilling their goals. So, so then he goes on to say the use of particular genre conventions helps communicate information more efficiently across the discourse community, such as the use of headings or visual aids. So now he's talking about audience. So someone who's writing to writing studies audience for that particular genre is going to make certain selections, right, in the way that they present the information versus structural engineering. And in some of the cases out there, we've got a nursing community. How are they going to present that information, taking into consideration their audience? As you reflect back on this genre analysis, what are those things? And then how might you incorporate those things as well? So I think those are, by and large, the identification section. I don't want to say that it's overall straightforward, but identification, you set up the identification of the things that you're going to then compare and contrast. Your analysis section is going to be even stronger. So those are the general kind. Of course, obviously, as goes with anything that you do in the rest of this class, once you identify that writing style, whether it be Chicago, APA, or MLA, make sure that you present your papers then in those formats and then submit those appropriately. Okay. So let's go to, so we are in week 5. So while you have the readings this week, you're revising Project 2. And we just went over the Project 2 folder. So you have done you're looking at what your peers have said. You can now listen to what I have just said and be prepared to submit your final drafts on Sunday night. And then the other thing that you want to do this week is you want to now start thinking about developing that research question. What are these questions going to be? We need to really narrow and focus down on exactly what we're then going to, what is the literature going to be that we're going to be reviewing for Project 3A. Project 3A is a big literature review, and then we are going to take one of your research questions, the one that you seem most passionate about, the one that you feel is really something you want to learn more about in Project 3A, so we want to kind of narrow that down through this blog assignment. So I know we've read it already, kind of talked about it, but I want to direct your attention to it one more time. I want you to think about your potential research questions. These, by and large, should come from your research guide. I'm not saying that they necessarily must be the exact same ones, but you definitely want to pick 2 or 3 questions, or maybe you already know exactly what you're going to hone in on, and you want to pursue answering and responding to Blog 3 in that manner. What databases or other library sources will you begin to use in researching these questions? I'm kind of just picking out a few questions here. And what is your timeline for looking at these questions for Project 3? Because Project 3, we're going to skedaddle right along here pretty quickly. So we want to start thinking about how we're going to start amassing our 8 to 10 sources that we're going to need for this particular project. Because next week we're going to need launch text, and so we're going to discuss launch text over the weekend. Okay, and ultimately you're going to select one to focus on for your research project. And in this particular scenario, through these research questions, as they become being posted in on Monday and Tuesday, or I mean after they're done Sunday, on Monday and Tuesday, I'll start looking at those, and we'll try to make sure we can tweak and get you the right research questions so we can move from there. Okay, well that is it for now. I hope that you guys are having a great week. Please do let me know if there's anything else that I can do for you, if you'd like to meet with me, or just email me a question, or whatever. I'm here to help you guys every step of the way. I know it seems like we're disconnected sometimes or whatever, but I am here. So just let me know if there's anything I can do. Sorry this video is so long. I hope you find it beneficial, and we'll talk again real soon. I will probably try to post something Saturday or Sunday so we can then begin starting to look forward to the Project 3A, at least review that, project probably on Sunday. All right. Take care. See you later. Bye.